Hi friends, welcome back to Julia in the Garden. It's been a little while. It's been a bit of a challenging year for me. The summer season has been a little challenging, and that might be the case for some of you as well. It happens. So I haven't gotten to as many videos as I want to do, but here we are. I wanted to show you around my house before fall and then winter really takes over. There's been some really beautiful things in these beds. And if I've missed them at their glory and in bloom, then I hopefully have taken some photos early in the year that I can insert here, because unfortunately I didn't get to this video when I originally intended to. These beds we're going to look at are mostly very young beds. They were mostly created last year, one or two maybe the year before, and there's still spaces that I want to add stuff to and things I want to change and kind of experimenting. I wanted to start by my deck. You can see the sun's coming down at me. It's in the afternoon. This is on the western side of my house. One of the things we invested in earlier this year was this table from Polywood with the umbrella, and I love it. We are actually using our deck a lot more than we were before because we were barely using it before, and so I've been very, very pleased with that. I am going to turn this way though and show you what's happening in this bed here. So the last time we were in all of these beds, all right, I'm gonna have to do this, sorry. Sorry, sunglasses. The last time we were in these beds, I believe on video, was when I did a spring cleanup. So I'll link to that here. Here we have some beautiful Calypso roses, and these are actually supposed to be shrub roses. They're supposed to stay like 2 by 3 feet, I thought. And honestly, I've cut them down, especially this one over here. It got like 6-7 feet tall, a bunch of branches going all over the place. So I gave it a serious prune back about a month ago because it was just driving me a little crazy. I couldn't see what was behind it. And that one's been about that size. Can you see that? Which I think is between 3 and 4 feet, maybe closer to 4. They started blooming a little later than some of my other roses. My David Austin ones bloomed way earlier, but they keep blooming and blooming and blooming whether or not you deadhead them, and they bloom like way into the season. I'm still very happy with them. I've gotten so much blooms out of them, both last year when I planted them last July, I believe. And so yeah, they've been doing great. In here we also have Gara. That's a pink, it's not petite, but I don't remember what kind it is. That's wispy. I think it's also called butterfly flower around my fountain, which the sun going in and out, I can't decide whether it wants to be on or not because it's solar. And then I have in the back, I have some 9 bark. It's I'm pretty sure a summer wine 9 bark. It's gorgeous. I love it so much. It's grown so much this year, like just this summer. The branches have gone, and I'm very pleased with that. It's supposed to get, I think, 6 to 8 feet tall and wide. So it's gonna be big. It's gonna be really a statement, like covering that back section. We have some verbena, mostly that reseeded, which I'm very happy about. I wanted it to do that. It does pop up a little later than I thought it would, so I wasn't sure if it was gonna come back or not, but several of it did, so I'm happy with that. We've got the junipers I planted in here. Earlier in the year, I did a video on that. This is their first year, right? They just got in this spring, so probably actually early summer. And so they're just sitting there right now. Hopefully the roots are developing under the ground. The plant back behind the fountain that looks kind of messy are actually champagne hollyhocks. I think they're the double majorette champagne hollyhocks. And I started them from seed this spring and they bloomed. And their blooms are gorgeous. You can see one right behind the fountain, but they look messy because they only bloom with like 1 or 2 blooms at a time, and then the other ones, you know, are faded and look kind of messy. So I was at the beginning of the year deadheading them a bit, but I don't have time for that. So I'm debating, I'm gonna leave them and see if they come back in the spring, and then I'll figure it out then. My Bobo hydrangea is there and it bloomed. I wasn't sure if it was alive. It took a lot longer to come back than my other hydrangeas. So I'm gonna try to keep that in mind next year when I panic. It is so cute and I love it. And I love it in front of the 9 bark. It's beautiful. I did plant a bunch of snapdragons in a drift between the hydrangea and the 9 bark because in the spring, the 9 bark was much smaller, and obviously the hydrangea hadn't really leafed out or anything yet. So I planted them there and there was plenty of room, and now there's like no room for them. So I won't be planting anything in that spot, any annuals in that spot again next year, but obviously for right now I'm leaving it. It's just kind of full and glorious. There are a couple nicotianas I planted in there, but most of the nicotianas that are up, and especially the ones around the 9 bark, actually volunteered, and they popped up kind of late in the season too, and they just yeah, they just appeared there. And I can't even remember, I feel like I tried to plant a Kochiana there last year and it like didn't take, it didn't work. We never got flowers from it. So I am actually also really pleased with that. I really want this to be a cottage garden look, and I love how they look in front of the 9 bark. I did add a little boxwood. I had one in a pot in the middle of my rose circle that just, it did not seem to be happy. I wasn't sure if it was going to survive. And so I decided to take it out of there and put it in here because I did need some more, I still need some more evergreen interest, I think. And so it's behind the roses, so you can't really see it right now. Boxwoods do okay in shade too, I figured. And so hopefully I'll see it more in the winter time. It's one of the North Star boxwoods that I had at the front of the house. And so it should get like 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, I believe. It doesn't, I think I'll have to shape it. It doesn't grow in a ball form like some of the other ones I have. Like I have a green, is it Green Mountain? I think that is a more of a ball shaped one naturally. And then I had an extra Nepeta because I actually, when I was at a garden center this summer, they had a sale on these little Nepetas, kind of shorter ones. I think it was buy 3, get 1 free. And I really needed 3, but I was like, I should just take the free one. It's a free plant. So I did, and I popped it in here. And I like that it's there like in front of the hydrangea. I think is really cute, and it'll give some more spring interest. There's also a peony over there, but I think I put it too close to the rose, so I might scooch it at some point. Some other things I need to add and adjust is there's a crabapple in there that I don't really like, and I was thinking of taking it out this year. And at this point, we're so late in the year that I don't really want to mess with it because I've been trying to figure out where to put it. And what I think I want to do next year is see if I can get a big pot and in the spring dig it up and put it in the big pot for the season. And I don't think I'm going to be able to leave it there during the winter, but then it gives me more time, and then next year I'll have to find a more permanent location or decide if I want to try to bring it like inside and overwinter or like in the garage or something. But so this winter I'm leaving that because I don't have anything else to put there right now anyway, so it's not in the way. I don't know if it'll happen next year. I think what I want to add on the other side, kind of behind where the crabapple currently is and next to the 9 bark, a good spaced a good amount away from the 9 bark though, is one of the Arctic Fire dogwoods. But actually what I would love is one of the red twig dogwoods that has the variegated leaf, because I think that would be beautiful. They have kind of inconspicuous, like low-key flowers. The 9 barks do too. But dogwoods in general are a great native plant. I'm not sure, I think the red twig varietal is actually native in our area too, and it gets those gorgeous red branches during the winter, so it would be winter interest as well. And I think it'd be beautiful next to my little juniper there. So, and then the variegated foliage would be different than what we've got going on back there. So yeah, I think that would be like a good contrast and stuff. So I'm thinking of that. The front area here, I'm not 100% happy with. I've got a Gara up between the roses here. There's also a Verbena brunariensis, which I love those everywhere. So I'm leaving it there for right now. I mean, that's an annual anyway. But I feel like the Gara right up front is a little too messy. Like I actually still really like it around the fountain, but I think if I have something maybe lower, more structural between the roses in the front, it might end up being annuals next year. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I end up putting some like boxwoods or little evergreens of some sort that are more structural there. And then also can put annuals like around them. Let me know if you have any ideas. I'm not sure what to do with that area. A lot of the front low areas, I need like either ground cover or just to leave space for annuals, I think. Before we move to the other bed over next to the deck, I actually wanted to talk about what's happening up on the deck. So I do have 2 metal containers here that I put my chocolate cosmos and Bidens in. There's actually 3 plants of each in these pots. The chocolate cosmos have done great for most of the year. They're struggling a little bit now because honestly, it's suddenly dry. It's been such a wet year, and then this last month has been dry and I just haven't been watering them enough. The Bidens haven't done as well in these containers as they did in the ground. I'll show you. It took them a while to kind of pick up. These are the Campfire Marshmallow Bidens from Proven Winners, but where they are in the ground, you'll see in this video, they are gorgeous right now. So I might do more in the ground next year. What else I've got going on up here? So in the deck boxes, after I took out the spring arrangement, I put in These are tiny purple kufias. They're like really small ones. And some white geraniums, and then some dichondra silver falls. And the kufias have actually looked good most of the season as well. I just watered everything between yesterday and today. I went around and watered things. They really needed it. So I think those will bounce back. The geraniums are looking decent right now. They looked really good at the beginning, and then most of the summer it was also really hot. They just didn't look good, and I think they just also need a lot of deadheading, and I see them out my kitchen window. They might be a little high maintenance for this spot. These containers are really shallow. They need some like really hardy plants, like ones that just don't like need a lot and can like survive. They need survivors, and whatever I put in there, it's not gonna last through the whole season really. So these are kind of petering out. I do like dichondra silver falls, but I don't think I would do it in this containers again because it's on the gray, and so it just blends in to the gray. So I'd like more color there, I think, next year in general. I do love having the white flowers, but I don't know if this is the best location for them. So this wasn't my favorite year of these containers, but at the beginning it felt like kind of like an alpine look, I think maybe because of the geraniums. But anyway, so that's what's going on there. I overwintered this banana plant. Sorry, let me first mention that I still have pots here, and many of them have herbs in them that are gonna hopefully go into one of the potager beds once I finally get that together this fall, so they can overwinter in there. So that's why there's still a bunch of plants over here, and some of them I just need to clean out. It is what it is. But I overwintered this banana plant inside. If you've been following along, last year I had banana plants outside my breezeway in the pots, and they grew from like this to like not quite this big, but pretty big over the course of the season, and I loved them. But I'm gonna bring this one inside again this year and see if it survives, because this just makes me happy. This was probably a little bit too exposed of a location for it, to be honest. It's probably a little more sun than it would actually want. I think it would want a little bit more shade. This one's a shade one, but like where it was in the breezeway was perfect for it. But it's been doing pretty well. It's still growing. You can see the new leaves and everything. And then let me talk about my green stock. So in the spring, I planted it up with violets and pansies, like Johnny jump up violets and things like that, and alyssum and lettuce. And I actually came out and harvested and ate the lettuce, which was fantastic. I would do that again. I actually was thinking of getting some in now. Hopefully, I might still do that, see if I could do that and if I have enough time. And then I switched that out. I ate and cleaned out the lettuce. I left a few of the alyssums and one or two pansies. And then I added some herbs, like some summer herbs, and some veggies. Some of the herbs are perennials. I've got some mints in there, different kinds. I've got pineapple, chocolate, and strawberry mint in there. And then I've got like marjoram and oregano and thyme which I grew from seed. I've got also, I think, a specialty thyme or two that I got from a local nursery. And then I put in some like veggies to see how they would do. I had a small tomato plant in there, and I did harvest some tomatoes off of it, but then the plant just succumbed. Tomato blight has been horrible this year, also in my potager. So that one, it's not still in there. But I have a pepper plant still in there. My ground cherry plant that's still in there is doing actually really great, and I love being able to get the ground cherries from out here. So all in all, a pretty good experiment. I'm sure I'm missing some things that are in there, but I'm not sure I would do like the eggplant or the pepper or tomato in there again, unless I get like really, really mini varieties. But I really love having the herbs. So I'll think through that again for next year. These ones, hopefully, I'm not sure if they'll survive like in the green stock, because they need to be much hardier to survive in the green stock than they need to be to survive in the ground. So my intention is that the perennial herbs will get stuck in the ground this fall. I'm really, really pleased. Oh, I also have some basil in there right now. That definitely won't survive. I'm just going to use it up. But I have a lot more basil in the garden. I love basil, but it's been nice to have that out here, because when we do like a tomato sandwich or something, I can just come out here and pluck some basil for that if I just need a few leaves. So anyway, I've been very pleased with the green stocks experiment and have some more ideas what to do next year. Another great investment that we've made this year is hoses. So we got a hose link this spring. It's the kind that you pull out and then it's retractable, which is great. It's outside our downstairs door, kind of below where the deck is, and it doesn't quite reach my potager. My potager is pretty far from the house, so I think it's like 80 something feet, but I can pull it out so it's closer and then use it to water. I honestly haven't watered the potager that much this year because it's been so wet. And, but it's been really great for these beds around the deck here because I can reach those. It's great for filling up my fountain in particular. Super easy to then just like put back away. At the beginning of the year, I was also using it up on the deck, which it was fine. Like, it was also better than not having the hose there and having to like lug the watering can around, which is what I was doing last year and the year before. But I would like have to pass it up, like climb and pass it up and then pull it. And so I used some of my birthday money. My parents actually gifted me some gardener supply gift certificates for my birthday. And so I actually used them to get some more hoses. So there's another hose up here, just a gray one. And I got like one of those like spigot splits, I guess, where it goes into two. So one is going to the hose link and the other one goes to this hose that just lives on the deck. And that makes it super easy to water this stuff out here. I do still have a watering can that I use in other areas, and I will use it if I'm fertilizing. I use some fish emulsion occasionally on these as well. But it's been so easy. And then there's another one that's around the corner I will show you that I also did a split. So I've got irrigation going around to these beds as well, but I only have the irrigation going to certain plants because we do have clay soil and I don't want to rot them out. So I have them going to my hydrangeas because hydrangeas need a lot of water. And I did run some to where my hollyhocks are because this spring, because they need water too. So I think that's it in these beds over here. Let me go ahead and show you this next garden bed. Okay, so this is the bed with my beautiful, I think it's a limelight hydrangea standard that I again put in last July. It has been so beautiful this year. I'm so pleased with it, just like the whole way through. Like, it's perfection. So I'm very happy with this. I did cut it back pretty hard in that spring cleanup video. I also in this bed have a Nepeta. It's a different kind of Nepeta than you usually see. It has much bigger blooms. It's pretty much done now. There's like the occasional blossom, but they're looking pretty ragged right now. But they bloomed for a really long time this year, just like continual blooms, and the hummingbirds and the bees love them. I saw a hummingbird on them several times. It made me so happy. And then I have a couple roses in here. There's a peony that bloomed first this year. It won. It's like a bright pink though. Maybe like a dark bright pink, which in general is a little too bright for this bed, but in the spring I will take it. I have a couple David Austin roses. I now have a 3-year-old with me as well. They're not in bloom right now, but I'm sure I took pictures, so I will put in some pictures here. I have an Olivia Austin rose, or Olivia Rose Austin, and Gentle Hermione rose, and so they're both pink and they're beautiful. And then the one over there, I think is called Plum Perfect. It's not a David Austin. It's beautiful. It is, I love it. It's blooming right now, so you can see that. I did plant a little bit more of the Verbena boreensis in here, as well as some Lisianthus. I planted a Delphinium really late, so I didn't really get much bloom off of it, but hopefully next year. And then I did put a few snapdragons in here. I was trying to put purple ones in, and there ended up being some like deep red ones, which was an accident, but whatever. And then I planted some Fire Chief Heuchera in here this spring, and I think it plays off of, especially in the spring, the rose that it's in front of, it has like the stems, the new stems have a more of a reddish cast to them, so it really played well off of that. I planted late this season. I planted some Lady's Mantle, so they're really tiny right now, but it'll be a little drift of Lady's Mantle in the corner. There's some pots with violets that look pretty sad. So I'm just leaving them for right now and see if I trimmed them a bit. I'll see if they bounce back. This bed also needs some development. I'm not 100% sure because I'd love to have a greenhouse back here, and so that will kind of affect some of that as well. But it's still like the hydrangea is beautiful, the roses were beautiful, the Nepeta was beautiful, so all around success. It feels really good to be under the maple tree here. There is not a lot of work that's been done since the spring in these beds over here. So we've got our white lilac here, and this is a pretty shady area because again, the maple tree's right here to the south of the house. And so there's some Brunnera. I added some more of the Brunnera in the spring. And there's some hostas, but there's a lot of weeds around them right now, and some heucheras and such. And then as we move over, I have plans of some things I want to do, but it's not the top priority. So it's just gonna be what it is. But as we move over there, there's more weeds. And then I want to put a mugo pine kind of slightly to the side and underneath where the lilac is right now. The lilac does need to be cut back pretty hard, and I just didn't get to it again this year. It's okay. It actually looks pretty healthy. A lot of our lilacs in our area, including my bigger purple lilacs out in the property, have, I think, what is lilac blight. The different garden groups on Facebook in the area have been discussing it, and I've seen it as we've driven around all over. So a lot of them have already dropped. They dried up and dropped their leaves, and hopefully they'll bounce back next year. There's really nothing I can do about it right now. So yeah, but this one actually looks decent, so I'm not touching it right now. But kind of under it, I want to put a mugo pine, like a small one, and then put some heucheras around it. I love heucheras. I want as many different kinds of heucheras as I can possibly get my hands on. A lot more work has been done from about here over, where the trellis isn't over, but there's still a lot of weedy spots, a lot of bare spots, so there'll be more to fill in years to come, and some things I want to adjust, so I'll walk you through that. So on the trellis, I am growing a Teasing Georgia, which is a yellow David Austin rose. It's not in bloom right now, but it bloomed several times this year, and it's grown quite a bit, so hopefully if we have another mild year, it'll survive, but you never know. If it gets as cold as it can get, it might not, the canes might not survive. The roots should, but sometimes there's cane die-off on these climbing roses, which is a little sad. But I mean, this I think is 9 feet, and then I put it, the trellis itself I think is 9 feet, and I put it several feet off the ground. So I mean, it's at least 11 feet tall up there. And it's almost up there, so that's kind of cool. And then there's a Ragucci clematis, and I tried to kind of weave them together, like move them both on both sides, which has worked pretty well. It's still blooming there. It's kind of come in and out of bloom, but has bloomed more than the rose has, and it's looking great. I'm really excited about both of them. They're both beautiful. In front of them, I planted this up kind of late, so I think it could be more full if I had planted it up earlier. But I have some small world dahlias. They're little tiny ball white dahlias. They're really cute. Along with, well, there's a little drift of lady's mantle I put in, and I think I put in like 3 last year that came back. And then I added this spring, maybe 4 more there. So I expanded, so it's a nice little clump drift of lady's mantle in there, kind of on the side in front. I also mixed in with a small world dahlia some more of the Verbena bonariensis. I do love that flower. It is not native here. It is an annual here. It likes warmer places, but the butterflies and bees love it, and I also love it. I think there's also some salvias mixed in there as well, which there's one blooming towards the front. You can see it. I put one lamb's ear there that I thought could be nice. And maybe if I like it, I'll add more in that area. There's also a different dahlia towards the back, beautiful pink one back here, which actually is a great color to go there. And it's beautiful. I might pick that one later, but I wanted to show it to you first. We've got a, pink lemonade baptisia that I planted really late last fall, and it looked really rough, like I wasn't sure if it was alive. So it didn't bloom this year, but it's clearly alive. It's got leaves, it's leafed out and everything. So hopefully we'll get blooms next year. It seems happy right now. I also have a mess there that I need to go through and weed. And I think most of the plants in this, like right in front here, are going to be taken out. Behind them, I planted a ruby spice clethra, and I'll have to do a more in-depth video about clethras. I'm just trying to get more experience with it first. But it is a native plant to my area, and pollinators love the flowers. They're kind of spiky flowers. They're thin spikes. You can get them in white, or this one's in pink, and they have a really nice spicy smell to them actually. And this was its first year in here, so it's a little small. It's supposed to get, I think, 5 by 5 feet, this variety. And so it'll take up more space here. And behind it, you can actually see where I have the other hose that I had talked about. And it makes it so much easier to water this whole area. I didn't get it till the middle of the summer, so I didn't have it this spring when it would have been really helpful. But it gets to this whole area in here, and it also fills up my bird bath, which is really nice. And it also reaches over to my front porch, so I can use it to water my hanging baskets and containers on the front porch, which was one of what I intended it for, and it's super, super helpful. I also have a pot over here that's I'll get to in a minute. Let's see. Oh, so in front of the ruby spice clethra that I put there, I am debating what to put. I've had a couple ideas. One was yarrow, but it seems, because I do actually have some of the white native yarrow in here a little bit, it says some of the weeds, but if it gets really wet, yarrow doesn't love that and doesn't look great. Because I was debating doing like the peach yarrow there, but it's still on the list because the other yarrow's there. Oh, there's some columbine in there too that I'm leaving. That's blooms in the spring, but I should mix it in with the other things. I'm thinking of putting a dark colored penstemon in there. I have one over there that I want to move that I'll get to, so that might go there and just add some more of those. I had another thought. Well, another thought was Shasta daisies maybe. They bloom a little bit earlier in the year and they're beautiful, so those are some ideas. Then I have the dwarf Alberta spruce, which I think I put in the fall before last, so it's been 2 years, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And in front of it is 3 GM plants that are, I think they're peach petticoat, I want to say. They are beautiful. They bloom in the spring. I love them. I planted them this spring and they were in bloom. And yeah, hopefully they come back. They look happy. So hopefully they come back next spring because they are gorgeous. But that area there, it might actually be nice to have something that blooms a little bit later as well. I was thinking maybe it'd be nice to mix in some shorter asters along the front area of this bed for blooms around this time of year. So we'll see. I'm still thinking about it. Then there's this space back here, which is pretty blank, and I'm debating what to do there. So there's a lot of like snow during the winter that falls off this portion of the roof right there. So anything that's there will get damaged. So I don't want to put an evergreen there for sure. It will get damaged. So I would like it to be something that dies back to the ground in the winter. It also gets a lot of rainwater coming off there, so it's a wet area when it's raining. So I'm debating putting another hydrangea back there, but I don't know if it'll be too much and compete too much with my crabapple here and my clethra here. I've also thought about putting some hibiscus back there, that they might not like it. And then the other thing I was thinking recently that I'm leaning towards at this point is putting some jopai weed back there, which is a native, and I could get a variety that likes it wet, and they can get relatively tall. They bloom this time of year, and so I might, or a little earlier, they bloom in the summer into the fall, I believe. And then I might be able to intersperse in there, find another tall growing native wet liking plant that blooms earlier in the year. I don't know. You can let me know what you think about that idea, if it would do well. This is the southern side of the house, so it gets full sun. It'll get a little bit more shade as the crabapple grows, but the crabapple, you can see kind of here, is going more that way. And it's pretty much the height it's supposed to get, and it just will grow out more. It might get a little bit taller, but it's supposed to be like 8 to 12 feet tall, and then like more like 12 feet, 8 to 12 feet wide. So it's gonna hopefully get wider with its wonky, cool arms. I love it. It's different and I love it. Okay, so we've got the bird, but so then there's like that space in the middle. I'm debating. So like kind of got to want to feel like I want something taller in the back towards the windows that doesn't block it year round, but you know, is something there. It's okay if it blocks it for part of the summer. And then in front of it, I gotta decide what I'm doing. I've got a bird bath there that I have to refill quite frequently. And then around to the base of it, I have Nepeta, and it looked great for a lot of the year. It actually stayed green a lot of last winter, which was cool. And then it bloomed pretty early this spring. It started blooming. I was very happy to see it come back and be all happy. But then I tried to cut it back. I think like August-ish, it started to look like it was dying back. The blooms were dying back, and so I tried to cut it, and it's just starting to rebloom now recently. It hasn't been blooming for a while. So next year, I love it still, but I think what I might do in future years or next years, and this is, again, I've mentioned this, the fronts of the beds are an issue. In this area, I actually need to get edging and re-edge. Like I need to recut some of the edging. I've been working on it slowly, but especially in this area in front of the bird bath here, it needs to be cut out about 1 foot is my plan. But I think I want to put more stones in. So I have to get more stones for that, or take apart my fire pit thing that I've been meaning to do and get more stones for it, so that it has edging. And then I think I want to do a combination of ground covers and places to put annuals. So it might be nice around the Nepeta to put some annuals, and then they'll bloom more like in the summertime, and kind of cover up for where the Nepeta is lacking at that time of year. We talked about around the bird bath. So kind of next to and behind the bird bath, we have a nice drift of the, I believe it's the Magnus variety of echinacea, which is a pink variety. And it's a little bit brighter than the like original purpurea form. And it's a little bit like, I feel like that one, the cones kind of the petals face down more, and this one's kind of more open. We have clay soil. So echinacеas, like, I love them, so I'm gonna keep trying. They do struggle a little bit. They were just put in this spring though, and they were pretty small when I put them in, because I went and got small ones because, you know, I wanted to get a bunch of them that's less expensive. So hopefully they've rooted in a bit this year, and hopefully they'll do even better next year and grow. The ideal and how I planted them is I would like them to just be one giant massive echinacea there and hopefully be a little taller. So that's the goal. I did temporarily, I put in these zinnias, which are annuals. These are the little flower girl zinnias from Floret. I love this variety. I've cut from this a bunch, actually, and I'm gonna do that actually probably tomorrow morning because it's getting a little late now, but I don't love them here. They're growing so well, and they're a little tall, and they're a little too tall for this spot. And I just stuck them in there because I needed an annual. There's a little peony in there that you could see. I would like to put more perennial. I would like this bed to be mostly perennials, but it's helpful to know that I want something that's a little shorter in this area here so that we could see more of the bed. So I had a couple thoughts. I was eyeing a little purple rose, like a short one that is kind of like a pink one I have over here that I'm going to show you in a sec. I was also thinking about like a white Veronica. The shorter variety. I think there's some taller Veronica varieties, but like I have to check how tall the white wands Veronica gets, because I'm going with pinks, purples, yellows, and whites in this, which seems like a lot, but that's kind of my color palette I'm going for the flowers. There is like the reddish in the tree right now for the crab apples, which is fine for fall. I will allow a little bit more red in the fall. So we do have some more peonies in here that I planted last year. One of them bloomed. No, I got one bloom out of Sarah Bernhardt, I think. The fawn did not bloom, and the Madame, whatever that one is, did bloom, just late. So they've been growing well this year though. They look happy now. So hopefully we'll get more blooms next year. I knew that they could take a little bit to get like established and want to bloom. So I did dot some more ladies mantle. There is some geranium that's actually growing back that was in this bed before, and I decided to temporarily leave it so that I could transplant it to another bed, because I don't really want it in this bed. I don't love the brightness of the color of it. I wanted something softer, and it does spread pretty aggressively. And so I'm gonna see if I could put it in a different bed in a different location. So I'm leaving it to grow for right now until I can do that, which may be this fall and maybe this spring. We're gonna see. I have some other perennials that are still in pots that I wanna try to get in the ground in both my herb garden and back in the woodland border behind my berry garden. So those are my priorities. Hopefully I can get to them by like mid-October. It would make me feel better. Although somebody at a nursery recently told me if I can get them in by the end of October, that they will probably be okay. So that's kind of my hard goal. It's forecasted to be a pretty mild and warm fall here, so that gives me hope. And in past years I have been able to like plant bulbs and stuff into December, so that should give them enough time to grow roots, and hopefully give me more time throughout this fall when it's not as hot and humid to dig, because one of the issues I've had this year is it's been so hot and so humid, and it just, you feel it and it's hard to work. And so between that and me having some health issues and getting sick, it's made it so hard. I almost forgot to tell you about my hollyhocks because I cut them back, so they're not there right now. But earlier this year I had a couple hollyhocks growing here, kind of in front of where the hose is, and they were beautiful, and I was very happy with them. They were, again, a little bright, but I might just have to go with that. If anybody knows, because I had a mix, and it's like a mix of pinks, and mostly pinks, and there was a beautiful lighter pink one out here before, so I thought that might have come from that. But if you know of any like hollyhock seeds that are more specifically a lighter pink color, other than the champagne ones that I have over on the deck beds, I'd like ones that are still the tall, but like all like lighter pinks. if that's possible, let me know in the comments below. Also wanted to mention that where the hose is, there's like, so under one of those windows, there's actually another window to the basement, and there's a spigot right above that. And then we've got, this is actually for a heat pump that goes into the house. That's one of the ones that does like, it does heat and air conditioning, which is amazing. And so it's not supposed to have things like right in front of it because it does suck air in and push air out. So I want to put, and there's a path. So what I did is I made a path going from right here next to the dwarf Alberta spruce around the back of it. That is gonna grow, but it's gonna grow relatively slowly. So I'm gonna keep an eye on it, and I can prune it. So what I've learned is you can like cut off the new, they're called candles, the new growth in the spring. And if you just kind of cut them off shortly after they grow, I believe you can kind of check the size. You don't want to like cut too much off because then you'll like, there could be brown inside, but if you just kind of check it as it's growing, you could do that. But I want it to be bigger than it is now. So it'll be fun. I kind of wanted to partially block it from view, but what I want is around the path, and in front of that I would love to put a ground cover that blocks out the weeds, because I have to keep weeding around that thing. They grows, I put like stones under there, and it grows like just up around the stone, like they're very crazy. There's like loose strife and other stuff. So I am debating some different ground covers. One thing I just saw recently that could be pretty, that I think it's a little taller than the average ground cover but could be really nice, is heather, which isn't native here. I think it's native to the British Isles, but a lot of it's really hardy, and you get like a pretty flower in the spring as well. So possibly like really early spring or winter. And so that might be a nice option back there. Let me know. And let me know if you have any favorite ground covers, especially if they're native to like the US, or especially the Eastern US, and hardy down to a zone 5 or lower. Let me know. That's what I'm looking for. So I want all the options. Please tell me. Okay, we're gonna keep moving around this bed. I just have so much I want to share with you, so hopefully you're liking these details I'm going into. And again, I'm looking for ideas, so if you have any thoughts, comment. Okay, so we've got the reoriented, I'm just moving myself around here. I do need to prune the Ruby Tears crabapple. There's some branches that are hitting the ground, and I'm gonna get those, but I'm debating how high to prune it. My original idea was to prune it a little bit higher, have it more like kind of umbrella, a little wonky umbrella, but still, but I love some of the lower branches as well. So I'll probably just do the very bottom ones and like not do much in the like winter pruning this year, and then see how I feel about it, because I can't undo it, but I can do more later, if that makes sense. Okay, what's going on up here? Let's see, what did I not talk to you about yet? We've got those little flower zinnias there. You can see some of the peonies. Now, there's a penstemon in here. It's a blackbeard penstemon, and it's beautiful. This one gets beautiful purple flowers, like light purple, and then the foliage is this gorgeous dark color. And so I thought it'd be a really good contrast. I do like the contrast in color. What I don't like is the leaves actually feel too similar to the peony leaves to me. And it's right next to a peony there. It just, I don't know if anybody else sees that, but it feels too similar to me, and so I don't love it there. So that's what I was thinking of, moving in front of my clethra and getting maybe a couple more of them and having like 3 or 5 somewhere in there, in like a drift in front of the clethra, and they'll bloom earlier in the year than the clethra, and then I can just cut them back. I haven't cut the bloom stalks on this back. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you think of that idea. This is a beautiful rose. This is a petite pink, I think. My son and I, they were having a sale at Gardener Supply earlier in the year, this spring, and it was like 40% off roses, I think. And so I picked this one up, and I picked, there's a Julia Child one just over there up as well. And so this one gets, it was blooming like crazy when I got it, and I think it was a little earlier in the year that it would normally start blooming, but it's lulled a couple times, but it's been blooming for a lot of the season, and they are just these gorgeous little blooms, and it looks very happy there. So I'm very happy with that. I was talking before about adding a purple one. I think I saw, I don't think it's proven winner, so I don't know if they're actually related, but a similar kind of rose, but it had purple flowers that were this size, and maybe putting it over on the other side of this middle peony here so that it would kind of echo. So we'd have like a yellow rose, a pink rose, and a purple rose, which would like kind of balance out the colors I have going on in here. So if you know of that, I saw, I think, on Heirloom Roses, and they were currently out of stock. So I'm gonna keep my eye on that. I think I set a notification for myself. Yeah, so, but if you have any other ideas, I'd love to, I think, put one more rose, shrub rose, small one, up in that area there. So let me know. I'd also love another evergreen, or maybe 2 or 3 in here. We do have the, is it the blue star, I believe? Hopefully that's right. Juniper there. It's got kind of like a hole going on in the middle, but I don't mind it. It's kind of unique. It kind of looks like a bird's nest, actually. It seems to be still alive, so we'll see how it does this winter. This is what I was talking about with the Bidens. So I have a lady's mantle here, and then I put that's one plant behind that stone there, and it's so happy right now, so happy. It took a little while to take off, but like, God, it's amazing. There's a couple over on the other side of the Nepeta as well. I think there's a grouping of 3 that aren't quite as happy as this one. I think they get a little less sun, but oh my goodness. Like, so I kind of want to put that on my list to put these in here again, maybe more of them, and dot them around, and even on the other side as well. They're like this white, they're like daisy-esque, and they're so cute, but they're a little mound. Anyway, very pleased with that plant right now. Behind this rose here, I actually snuck in some, I believe they're Geneva dahlias. So they're slightly like a medium-sized ball dahlia that are purple, and they're really pretty. I don't know if I would put them exactly there again next year. It also depends what, I want to get more perennials in there. But I like them right now, and I might go cut a few of those as well. I think tomorrow morning I'm going to pencil in coming out and cutting some flowers. So, but again, I wanted to show you first. And then I have, I believe these are the Alpenglow. They're either Alpenglow or Precious Metals zinnias from Floret, like the specialty zinnias. And there's some really, really beautiful ones in there. These ones I like better in their placement than I do the little flower girl ones, because they're a little bit farther back. And so that's what I really need to think about and do, is make sure that plants that are that height, that get to like between 2.5, 3 feet there, I don't know, are they taller than 3 feet? Maybe around 3 feet. I don't want right up front. I want them a little farther back. And then a little bit shorter plants up front, like 2 feet and down probably. So the height works there. I'm not sure if I would do those exact flowers and those colors there again next year. I mean, I don't hate them, but I'm thinking about putting some Agastaki in there, the anise hyssop variety, where it's the purple flowers. It's grown really well for me in other places, especially in the potager. Pollinators love it, and I think it would be a really nice contrast with some of the other things I have going on in here. I have the Julia Child rose I just mentioned. It's a beautiful yellow rose, and I think it gets I think it's supposed to get 2 to 3 feet. So it might be a little bit big, but it's this area, the way the bed's shaped, it's actually farther from the crab apples. So I don't think I'm gonna hate it being there. Plus it's just absolutely beautiful. There's the shorter Nepeta in the front. This is the one where I was like, it was buy 3, get 1 free. And so I needed 3 because I wanted the Nepeta here to echo the Nepeta over by the bird bath, but this one is a shorter variety. I have some iris that I planted, Siberian iris, the purple variety, that I put in a little later this year, so I didn't get to see them bloom. I put in 3 roots, and one of them looks like it's doing really well. One of them is kind of under the zinnias, so I don't know if it's doing okay or not. It's still there, but it's not as full. And then one just completely disappeared. So we'll kind of see if it pops back up in the spring. I would really like to have 3 there. I like to have odd groupings, but we'll see. But I have places I want to put more iris in here. I moved around again, so there's the Julia Child rose there, Nepeta in the front. There's a blank area in there. So there was one iris that didn't come up there in that blank area. And then I tried like twice to plant different things. So the second time I think I tried to plant feverfew, and there's one feverfew plant that's just now looking like it's leafing out and bushing up okay, but there's no flowers. And I don't know if it's gonna have time for flowers. So I gotta decide what I'm doing with that. I don't know exactly how far the anise hyssop is gonna come and if the iris is gonna come back. So we'll probably just figure that out next year. I might just stick annuals in there next year. We'll see. Okay. Then I have the other cumbibines there in the back. They're looking sad now, but I'll get a picture from, I know I have footage from earlier in the year. I have some Gianna phlox, and it's supposed to be a native variety of phlox. The pollinators love it. It is a little bit brighter than I want it to be. The pictures had it a little more on the warm pink side, or it's a little bit cooler pink, tending almost towards purple, but bright. But the pollinators loved it so much, and I do like it. So I'm leaving it I can always move it later, but I'm leaving it for right now. I might just have to embrace it being a little bit more bright. Yeah, so that's there, and I actually do like the height of it there. It's like probably 3.5 feet at this point. So it's behind the rows there, and hopefully it'll stay tall enough to kind of peek out through the rows behind it. And then there's a drift behind the little clump of bidens, of campfire marshmallow bidens there. There's a drift of white swan echinacea. Some of it's looking pretty rough right now, but some of it's beautiful. Again, these were like really small plants that I bought at a nursery this year, this spring, because I knew I wanted a bunch of them. Again, it's cheaper. And so I'm hoping that they grow and like fill up together. And there's some lady's mantle there as well. There's some snapdragons that I just planted in there in the spring. They looked sad for a lot of the year, and now they're finally blooming. So the issue I have in a lot of my beds is drainage, because we have the heavy clay soil. I have, like, every time I plant something, I put better soil in with it. Or I mix it in with our clay soil, so it's not just like, I don't want it to just stay in the area I plant it. I do want it to, the roots to grow out into the soil. I just worry about the water and the water retention with the wet years we've been having. A lot of it does kind of pool, like drain and pool around the edge down on this side. And so what I'm debating doing is kind of digging a purposeful trench, which I've been doing a little bit as I've been digging out the edge, but making more of a deep and maybe a little bit wider purposeful trench, and maybe filling it with rocks even before the edging. So it have like stone edgings with like a ring of rocks inside. Does that make sense? So that the water has somewhere to go. I've also thought about kind of digging out little channels, which might look funny. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I did try to plant a lot of the plants high. I'm not 100% sure what else to do, because I do have plants in here that I know don't love wet roots. But there's not a lot of plants that do love having really wet roots. So I'm gonna move on. I just this spring planted, what variety is that? A bigger boxwood. So one that's maybe this is the Green Mountain and the other was a different Green Velvet. The mounting ones might be Green Velvet. I was talking about these a little earlier in the video. And I think that one might be a Green Mountain, where I think it's supposed to get more like 4 to 5 feet. It's gonna be like a cone, like a me-sized cone in the end. It's smaller than that right now. It's in front of, currently I have this container here. Let me move a little bit so you can see again. It's looking really sad right now because I watered it this morning, but I hadn't watered it in a while, and they're all looking, the plants are looking really sad. But it was actually my favorite container for a lot of the year. The Persian shield in the middle, that's been looking rough for a little while because the wind does whip through here as well, and that got wind burned actually, which is interesting. It's a helichrysnum, I believe, is that silvery plant. It's very happy. And there was some Supertunia Bordeaux, which looks really sad right now, but that is one of my favorite annuals. It is my favorite petunia by far. I might experiment with some others next year, but I will again get more Bordeaux Supertunias for containers. And also I think it would be really pretty to have a combination of the bidens that I have here, the white ones, with the Supertunia Bordeaux, and maybe like the limoncello Supertunias around the fronts of the beds as annuals. Anyway, let me know if you have other plants that are like that that might look good. So I really like that container. I don't love that it's on those. I don't love the whole setup there, and I don't know if I want a container there in that location all the time. And this one's actually a little bit modern for me. I got a set that was like this, and I don't really know what I was thinking because it's not fully my style. I like a little bit more classic, more of like the terracotta look or urns. I like that kind of look for my containers. So I could do a container that is more like an urn style. I love, Laura of Garden Answer has, in like the middle of her walkway, she has this kind of shallow bowl urn thing on top of like a pillar or like a big thin pedestal. I don't remember the name of it. It's probably from Unique Stone, but it is beautiful. Like maybe something like that instead there, or even a statue. But I feel like I have to be careful with the statues. I don't want, mostly I don't want it to be creepy. I don't know if you've watched Doctor Who, but I cannot have angel statues because that will freak me out. If you know, you can let me know in the comments. And so you may have noticed there are little dragons dotted around our property. And so maybe like a bigger dragon, but I also I don't know, that might be hard to find. I like fairies, but they look a lot like angels. And when you have faces of things, like that can make a big difference in how the feel of it. Anyway, I'd like some sort of hardscaping thing here, whether it's a pot or a statue, something, something architectural that stays. So keeping in mind the box was also going to get bigger, so it might be like farther back. Anyway, if you have ideas on that, let me know. Okay, I'm going to move over to this next front section here. We're almost there. We're working our way. So now we're going to move to the front here. Talking about this bigger boxwood again, though, my hope in the spacing, how I planted it, is that when all the boxwoods are grown, it will meet up kind of with the smaller boxwood hedge, which is North Star boxwoods that I kind of want to try to keep around 2 feet. And then, it'll like kind of meet up and kind of be a cap at the end of the row. And I was hoping it could also be a little bit of a windbreak for the hydrangeas here. So let me just start by saying my hydrangea hedge, my incredible hydrangea hedge, looks a little rough right now. The flowers are more brown than I would like them to be, and I don't know if that's just normal for this variety. It did bloom, like this one does bloom earlier, and so these Incrediballs bloom earlier than the panicle ones do. And so it might just be that they're tired by this time of the year. It could be a wind issue partially as well. The ones on this side are smaller than the ones over on that side. And part of that might be, again, the wind whips through this way. Those are a little bit more sheltered from where the garage is. So I don't know. It also could be a water issue. Hydrangeas do like a lot of water. We have gotten a lot of rain this year. I also have drip run to them. At this point, I run it every other day for 15 minutes. So as I was talking through this with some of my kids outside, my 3-year-old told me I just need more drip to it, and he actually might be right. They've gotten a lot bigger since I planted them, and I haven't added, I think they each only have 1 line of the brown drip tubing with emitter holes every 6 or 8 inches, I think. And so I might just add a second ring around outside farther for them, and that might solve it. I haven't had time since we talked about it. So you guys let me know what you think. I am, again, because we have the clay soil, a little scared of overwatering, but I also noticed that a lot of there's a lot of shallow roots of the hydrangeas as well. So maybe they just actually need more water. Maybe I need to do it every day. Maybe I need to do it longer. Let me know what you think. If you have hydrangeas, if you have experience with it, let me know. Okay, well, let me tell you more what's going on here. So I actually added some this year. I've added 3. There's one, and the one here looks very sad, and I do think that is a wind issue. It actually has plenty of water, but I don't think it's overly wet. I've been checking the water on that one because I wasn't sure, but I do think it's the wind, because again, the container that's right next to it, it's been getting wind burned. So I think that's what that is. And so if I get more plants, or as things grow and I get more plants in there, hopefully it'll help shield it a little bit more if it can just survive for a couple of years. The boxwoods in the front, I just gave a little cut to. I gave them a little trim once the weather was not as hot and humid and we were having like a nice week of weather. So they're looking a little small right now. They remind me of my childhood dog. I had a Cocker Spaniel, and she'd get like super fluffy. It'd be like a ball. And then we had her groomed, and she was skinny. That's kind of what it makes me think of right now. The one on the end here also struggling a bit, and I don't know if that's also like a water issue or a wind issue. There's actually not drip to the boxwoods. If we have like a really dry spell, I will come out and give things extra water, but for the most part, they've been on their own, and they've mostly done very, very well. I cut them back because they were growing very upright, and I do want them to also grow more out because I want them to meet each other, and I do want to keep them relatively small, like relatively short. I'd rather them grow out than in, and I want to keep them kind of bushy and healthy and not too woody. So there were some that I probably should have cut earlier that had some woody spots. But I think they all look pretty good now, and that way when I want to keep them that certain level, they're not like, we can't see dead parts, if that makes sense. So yeah, so that's why I did that. I'm keeping my eye on this one. It's been a little bit more yellow for a while. Hopefully it'll be okay. And then, I was in the middle of telling you I added more hydrangeas. So there's one here, and then I added one on the inside on each side here. I was debating also adding one over the other side, but there's a tall arborvitae over there. We'll get there. So I didn't. So there's 3 extra ones so that the hydrangea hedges will be a little bit longer. And they'll take probably a couple years to catch up. These went in 2 years ago, I think. I think it was 2 years ago. And I got these in August. They were really sad. I like limped them along in pots for most of the year. And then, yeah, got them in August. So, yeah, I'm happy with how well they are doing. Let's see. Boxwoods we talked about. Okay, so we've had some water issues up here as well. One, I probably should clean the gutters. I don't think my husband's gonna do it. I don't really want to pay, so I should, he doesn't like heights, so I'll give him a pass on that. So I should get up there and clean that at some point. There was a grackle's nest up there earlier in the year, so I'm sure it's a mess. But anyway, we have a gutter on one side, but it was like overflowing and swamping this area. I think I talked about this in a prior video. And so I have temporarily a pipe thingy that attaches and pushes it out here, which seems to be helping because those boxwoods there looked really sad earlier this spring. They were yellowing and I was worried about them, and now I'm not really worried about them. They look okay. I don't love the look of it, and my plan is to get like a box thingy to put underneath where the gutter goes down that then has a pipe underneath the ground that has like a pop-up out here. And I went to get the pieces for it with my kids. I had all my kids at Lowe's. I got this giant pipe. I was getting things and they didn't have all the pieces. And so I'm gonna have to order them, and I just haven't done it yet. It made it more difficult and I didn't get to it. But actually now I'm thinking I also need to do it on the other side, because now the boxwoods that are on the other side are sad. There's no gutter there, but the water just falls off on that side and it keeps like displacing the mulch we have, and it ends up being a mess. And so I want to do a couple things. One, I think I should also have some sort of drainage system that goes out the same way on the other side, but also I'm probably going to put, I was debating doing like a bowl, like a water bowl type thing, maybe with rocks, and also rocks underneath. So it's not like displacing mulch everywhere. The rocks shouldn't fly all over the place. So we'll see. I don't know when I'm going to get to that, but it's on my mind. Okay, my front walkway. Let me stand to the side a little bit here. Hold on. It's beautiful again. I actually did the same thing I did last year. These are the Rock and Play the Blue Salvia, and they are wonderful. Second year in a row I've done this in between my tater tot arborvitaes, which have grown so much. I'm gonna see if I can find here footage of when I first planted them, because they were tiny. And again, that was not last year, maybe the year before. They're so cute and I love them so much. They just grow in a little ball. I don't need to do anything to them. And I think they're almost at what's supposed to be their mature height, but I think they'll probably keep growing a little bit. So the Rock and Play the Blue Salvia, it's an annual for me here, but it's amazing, amazing. And so I don't know if I could do anything else here ever. Like I just am gonna need them every year. It's just, I don't know, if you have an idea of something that you also think would perform here well, I am open to ideas, but this is gonna be hard to beat, to be honest. Okay, so the front porch, kind of mixed reviews. Oh, I forgot to mention there's also alyssum along the side, which is really pretty, but some of them died on me and I don't know why, because I did run drip next to them, and some of them are very happy and then some of them aren't, and I don't know what's up with that, but it is what it is. The front porch, so there's like some hits and misses. The lantana, was it lantana, verbena? I'm gonna have to double check. The things with the purple flowers that I put in the hanging baskets have done surprisingly well, because they were a sun plant, and this definitely is part sun location. And so they did pretty well. They've come in and out of bloom. I also could water them more consistently. I got a little bit better about it once I got my hose that reached over there and I didn't have to, see, if you have to use the watering can and then it like can drip down your arm, it's just not fun. And I'm not messing with irrigation up there right now because I want to do some stuff anyway. And that also just feels hard right now. So yeah, I should have been more consistent with the watering, but I also have begonias up there and I didn't want to rot them out either. So the begonias are doing okay. Like they've just kind of been almost the same the whole year. The sweet potato vines are like nowhere. I mean, they're not dead. They're like kind of poking out, but they're like the same size when I planted them. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe I didn't put enough water in for them. I really don't know. The same vines are over in another container and they also didn't grow as much as sweet potato vines normally do for me. So maybe it's the variety that I chose. I don't know. I do like the concept of what I did in the containers, in the white containers there, but they ended up looking very different because the one on your right, the caladium grew really, really well and big, and you could see that, and several of the begonias died. So Great caladium, less begonia. On the other side, the caladiums, it's alive and healthy. It's just so much shorter and smaller, but the begonias are doing great. And then the creeping Jenny is just great. Like, I love it. That's great. I don't know if it was there when I did my spring cleanup, but I did add some mushroom pillows and a mushroom doormat. And I'm happy with that. And that's staying temporarily. When I do the fall containers, I might switch it out for a pumpkin doormat for fall. I just like to do a few seasonal things, not a ton. So, yeah. I almost forgot to mention my hellebores. So I have a couple in here. I think there were several I put in last fall, I think. And then a couple I planted this spring. Or did they all go in last fall? I don't fully remember. They might have all gone in last fall. Who knows at this point? I lost track of time. Anyway, there's a few on each side, and they were a little rough earlier in the year, to be honest, but they seem okay now, and so I'm hoping we got a few blooms off of them. I'm hoping to get more blooms off them next early spring. I'm pretty sure it's called a DeGroote Spire Arborvitae here, has grown so much. It's doing great. I'm very happy with it. It's supposed to get, I think, 8-10 feet in that range. What I've learned though is little evergreens might grow more than they say they're going to grow, because that's like the 10-year, and then they might keep growing. So I may need to trim it, much like the Alberta spruce thing. But yeah, it's definitely growing up, which is good, more than out. So that is what I want in this space. It's it's far enough actually out from the house and the roof that it shouldn't be touching it. So, and it shouldn't mess with the gutters or anything else. The hedge, tiny hedge is what I'm calling it, of black pearl heuchera right around the base. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And we're like looking nice for most of the winter. It was amazing. I love them so much. So happy with them. And even the little one on the end that I thought was dead because the rabbits kept eating it, not letting it grow, has bounced back. It's not quite equal with the rest of them, but it's close. Yeah, the boxwoods over here look great. As I mentioned earlier, I was thinking of putting another hydrangea on this edge, but I think it would just get too close to the arborvitae. So we're leaving that there. There are weeds that I've actually just left some kind of behind the arborvitae, and I should put something else there. So I just don't know what yet. So last year I had a few annuals back there. They kind of got too wet for what I put there. I think I put impatiens there and they just weren't super happy. But maybe I can find a more hardy annual to put there next year while I think about it, until I come up with, I don't really know what I want for a perennial. I don't want something too big. So there's that. Okay, then we've got my rhododendrons, which seem to be doing pretty well there. And then we've got, these are more incredible hydrangeas here, but they're the blush color. So they come out a pink, and they both of them fade to like a greenish color. And these again look pretty good. The one in the middle definitely looks the best by far. The one on the left-hand side, as we're looking at it, like half of it kind of died out earlier, not super early in the season, but earlier than I would, before everything else started to turn even a little bit brown. So that's the newest one that's in there. I don't know what's going on there. I'm wondering if I need to add even more drip to that one, because where it is with the roof, it also, I don't think is getting actually much rainwater, whereas everything else is getting rainwater. So yeah, I might, if I come in and add extra drip to all of them, I might add like double extra drip to that one and hope that helps. There is a marigold that seeded itself out there. Last year, I had my green stock that's now on the deck over nearby here. I had it where you can see the pots over next to the garage now. And I had those, I think are tangerine gem marigolds in there. And so that must be from what that is. Maybe some birds moved it over, or maybe even just the wind. So I left it. It's not really in the color scheme here, but it's cute. And that plant's not super happy, so it's kind of a nice bright pop behind it. We've got our little dragon hiding in there. I did plant last spring, I believe, some bleeding hearts in there. And I have one kind of on the corner behind the dragon that's super happy, and it's still like you can still see all the leaves and stuff. I did at some point go in and trim back the dead blooms, but they bloomed for a long time. It's very happy. The other ones, there's some in there, but I think at least one or two died out, and yeah, I don't know. So we'll see what comes back next spring. Let me just finish up by showing you the containers around the breezeway. Okay, so there's a couple of things happening out here. So this is where we enter our house most of the time, and a lot of friends and family that know us enter the house this way. We've got some pots happening here. These are the other two that match with the set, with the pot over there that I said isn't super my style, but my son really loves them actually. He's only 9, so he doesn't have his own place where I can send them, but these are actually both his containers. He has this really cute cactus fairy house. It's adorable. And last year, he loves these these tut grasses, the papyrus grass. He also loves sweet potato vine. So he had put those with his fairy house last year, but it kind of blocked them out. So I had said to him this year, because, you know, he loves plants as well. He has like more of an indoor succulent cacti collection. So I was like, why don't we do, you get 2 pots, which his siblings did not. But you can have one that has the papyrus grass and sweet potato vine, and then we can get some hen and chicks to put in this one. And it has worked out so well. I don't know if you could tell, there's a little path in here because they have grown so many pups. It is amazing. So we're probably going to bring this in and maybe try to actually separate them and pot them into a couple different containers. And this has grown really well too. I was not super diligent about watering it when it's been a little drier. These like a lot of water, and the sweet potato vines did get eaten by a groundhog at the beginning of the year, but it has persevered. It looks really cute right now. I've got a couple pots back here. They should be kind of matching on our entrance here. So okay, we've got a lot of things happening in here. I think these are like the queen tuts. They're smaller than the one I put over there. It's like a slightly different variety, and there's 2 in each pot. And then I've got this coleus in here. There was, I think, a colocasia and elephant ears that I thought would like it here and get big, but neither of them have liked it at all. And then there's some begonias in the front that are more of like a corally pink color, and some more coleus. So this is the chocolate drop coleus. I love this coleus. And that one over there, I think is like a cherry drop or strawberry drop, something like that. It's similar, but it kind of, I liked how the pink in this looked with this pink. However, when my incredible blush hydrangeas, which are right over here, were blooming and you could see them and this, the pinks did clash. So I wouldn't go with this bright color of pink again right here. I did more of like an apricot color here, I think, last year, and I do like that. That went okay. And last year I did kind of the tropical look with the banana plant. And so that's why I kind of went in that direction again. It's a little bit tropically, but this is not my favorite, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, this is not my favorite this year, so I'll try something different next year. I do, however, like a little bit more the pot back here. It's got a different kind of coleus in it that has the pink, and then I chose a different pink begonia. So it's like a little bit of a cooler color, not as warm as the ones up here, which first of all, I didn't realize that, and then that bothered me because those clashed. But it was better matched with the Incredible blush. So I need to keep in mind that it's like a slightly cooler and very like soft pink, the blush hydrangeas. So the warmer pinks did not work. So yeah, that just, you know what? Gardening is an experiment. You live and learn. I'm on my breezeway now, and I'm actually going to end this video by giving you the view off our breezeway right now because the sun is going to be starting to set, even though there's a lot of clouds, but it's a really pretty view. And so I thought I'd end it there. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you found this interesting, and please let me know things in the comments below, any ideas you have, because I'd love to brainstorm with you. I hope you're all well. Happy gardening, friends.